Welcome everyone, I'm Bad Karma Drone, aka Dronus. Join me today as we play Satisfactory. This is an update to the recent redo of the game that I've been doing for the last about 3 weeks. I flew pretty bad and lost my voice for a while. Spent a lot of time coughing and stuff, so I couldn't really do live stream updates like I wanted. Now that that's behind me, for the most part, we'll go ahead and do an update. And I continued to play the game. I just wanted to bring you up to speed where we were at. For those of you that are just tuning to this and don't understand what was going on beforehand, I'm doing a game in Satisfactory, a build in Satisfactory, and I'm doing it on a minimalist setup to where I don't have a lot of resources. In other words, I'm not building like an entire floor or an entire factory by itself just to build one item or maybe one or two small items. I'm trying to get by with as little as possible and still accomplish the goals and tasks in the game. And choosing that was a monumental thing because it's been quite an adventure doing this. It's not easy because it takes a long time to make things when you don't have an entire floor dedicated to building, like, for an example, computers or motors or the heavy fabricated stuff. But more of this is that I'm trying to build a small platform that many things get done on, and it's a different set of challenges than building something with, building these huge factories that may have, like if building an entire factory floor just to make electric motors or something like that. Instead, just having one unit that builds electric motors, and so it's a different challenge. But anyway, I wanted to give you a progress update, like I said, show you where I'm at now in the game, and we'll talk some more about it as we go. I ran into a thing here where I needed to get the bauxite, which is over by the oil deposits over on those islands. The bauxite is located way the hell and gone up there. So what I wound up having to do was these sections here. Let me see if I can show you here. These guys here, the stackable conveyor poles, they have ladders on either side of them, and they make a really excellent climbing device. Well, there's a bunch of them over there. As you can see, I went higher than the platform surface up there, and what I did was I had to crawl all the way up to the top on the side of it like a ladder and then jump over them. And there were 3 aliens up there you have to kill that are marching around the bauxite deposit that's up there. And for the lack of anything better, I mean, we just I knew I had to get it down, the bauxite down, and the conveyor belts won't stretch far enough in distance to really attach to anything. So we use the vertical lifts, the conveyor lifts, and because there's no one surface on here, it drops and goes straight all the way down to ground level down here. They're all a series of jumping off of this and jumping off of this and jumping off of this. It turned into a nightmare, one of which I don't want to repeat again. But in any case, it's completed. It pumps bauxite over here and then follows back towards camp. We're going to run over here real quick and take a look at the power plants. I can show you how I set those up to get the set up all the power that we need. And I'd like to ask you to take a minute to subscribe, like, and follow me. I'd appreciate it. Your support really does help the channel. It really does. Okay. let's have a look. Okay, what we've got, there are 4 oil deposits out here on these little islands. You basically set up in a minimalist way. You set up an oil extraction pump, then a refinery, which changes it from the oil to fuel, and then each one of these has 2 firing stations that electrical stations that work off of fuel. And there's one set up here. There's another setup there. The 3rd one is there, and the 4th one is back over behind it. Okay. And this, in conjunction with, I think, about 6 or maybe 7 coal fire plants closer to the base, are all the electricity we need. In fact, it's more than enough. I could probably stop using the coal plants, but I'm not going to. They're already there. They're built. I'm just going to leave them there. Okay. They are returning barrels back of oil back to the base, so that we can make our plastic products. Game lag. Okay. So let's follow all this back. It's where the bauxite meets the oil. Okay. And we'll follow it all the way back. I think this has been been a different journey for me playing this game this way. I played it the first time I built it. I played it to where I had extreme everything everywhere, as I've seen some of the other YouTubers do that play this game, to where they have, you know, entire floors or entire factories dedicated to a certain purpose. And while that's commendable, and that's definitely a challenge into itself, I decided to go the other way. I decided to see how little I could do and get away with things. About the only area I didn't follow that on was when I was making the metal screws. I dedicated 4 runs to that, simply because most everything you build, you have to have some type of metal screw work in with it, and running just one little factory setup for it, nothing was getting done very fast. I mean, it would take days to do anything, literally. And I decided against that. I decided that the better way to deal with that would be just to go ahead and make 4 runs of those. So I dedicated 4 runs for screw production there. And outside of that, it's just minimal everything. Take you over here and show you this little sub area over here. Making some screws here. This is where the modular frames get built. This little area here. Okay. And these factories work together. From all of the resources being pumped out of the ground there, over this way. And then when the finished product comes out of this last one, it goes up and follows the conveyors that go all the way back over towards where our primary base is. Let's go over and take a look at that. First, I think I'll just run over here real quick to the coal fire plants and let you look at these. Okay, so I've got 10 plants, 11 plants, maybe? Thought I had a few less than that. there's the plants. They feed off of a single coal source, tucked back over out of the way, and it splits them up and provides power. This was the original power setup that I used in the game where I'd play this from the beginning, and started out with just one of these coal plants here working at first. And then I grew that out to meet my needs until I could get the oil production stuff running. Unlock that in the game. Okay guys, here's basically the setup. This is the spaghetti that is the bottom level of this stuff. And what we're going to do is we're going to, I wonder where I left that truck. I don't remember. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take you around and to the top up there and show you the main production platform area that we've got set up. Okay, here we go. The materials, most of the resources, components, not the finished products, but the components, are built down below. Yeah, I know. A lot of containers, right? Okay, most of the stuff is built down there. The parts are built down there. And they're sent up via conveyor belts and conveyor lifts up to here. Okay, this is the first row of storage containers. There's one dedicated container per item, with the exception of the screws. Like I said, there are 4 of those down there. But each item has its own dedicated container, which feeds into a second container of the same type of item. Okay, so you've actually got double containers. And over here, this mess is where the products are assembled. Let's come down here real quick. Okay. When you want to build something like, let's say, computers or turbo motors or something like that, you put out the machine that you need to build, and then you pull from over here all these resources. You find what resources you need, and you pull conveyors over to give it the resources that you need. Okay? Like, for example, this one's building computers. Okay? And this is the output for it here. This is where it stores the finished product when it builds the computers, and it'll sit in here until either I come get it, or if we need to send it up the space elevator. We have a conveyor that runs all the way up to the space elevator back there in the background. We have this large conveyor, and we'll just hook a belt up to it and then start feeding it directly into the space elevator. Like this one. It's the heavy modular frames. Let's go and take a look at it real quick. See, these are the resources that were needed for it. Bump the microphone out of the way there. The resources that were needed for it. Okay, and we pulled them out of those bins that we needed. They come in here and get manufactured. Okay, and they come over in the storage container here for the end product. Right. And as we need them, we just turn them on and feed them into wherever. Let's go over here and take a look real quick. I'll show you the setup. We've pretty much gone as far as the game will let us. There's a few other things I can do and unlock, but I mean, as far as achievements go, there's really not much left to do in the early access for this right now until Coffee Stain, the developers, actually open up more parts of the game, which they are doing. They've got some neat stuff coming down in the future, so it's going to be great to see what happens. But I've already finished all my tasks that I can do. in the early access version here. I'm going to have to wait until early access is over with. Probably, I'm hoping in the next couple months they'll release a new patch. They got experimental stuff out now, which is bug fixing and adding a new feature here or there, but it's not something that's going to allow me to build something different. But if you can imagine that when you look at this, that this is the area of parts down in there with all these conveyors feeding into these storage units and into these storage units. So I got 2 storage units per item, again, except for the screws, which have 4. And then you have your factory part over here for assembly, final parts assembly, back over on this side of these storage container units. And these have been moved several times. If something else would pop up I'd take this down and remove the belts, put the unit that I needed there, and find out whatever items I needed and pull the items directly over into the factory assembly unit there to have the finished product made, and then put the product on a conveyor belt going up there. Okay. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the last time. I don't remember for the last one or not we'd actually gotten done with the crystals. If I'd shown you how that works, so we're going to run out there real quick and take a look at that and see how all that turned out. So, like I say, this is basically trying to accomplish as much as I can with as little as I can. Doing the absolute minimal setup. It's not easy. I mean, I thought it would be, a whole lot easier if you don't have to build 50 assembly units to make a specific item. You only need one. But trying to get all that organized in an efficient way to where you don't have to wait 6 months to build a specific item because it takes forever. That's, like I say, it's nerve-wracking sometimes. It's a new challenge for me. But here you'll see the power wire and the conveyors on the left. Power wire is feeding power out to the miner units that are feeding back the resources. So, you got power going one direction and resources coming back the other. This thing was quite the challenge to build. This long belt coming back, because at the time when I was doing this, the map wasn't very clear to me. I was having to use an online map to try to navigate where I was on the, because it's easy, so easy to get lost back up in this part of the area of the map. So it wound up being a decent challenge for me. Let's see where we can go here. No. Good. Tab. I should have got that out of the way before. That one. Maybe next time. So what there is there's 6 crystal deposits back here. And what I did was I doubled down. Excuse me. I doubled down on the on each one. So there are two crystal deposits per belt. There are 3 belts coming back. Alright. Here's where the fun starts. Making this part of it was not easy because there was all kinds of those little alien monster things running around. Those ones with the big V-shaped heads. You know, it's with the fireballs at you. Those things are crazy. So. I think I've got them pretty much all beat back out of the way. They're not going to bother us anymore, but hopefully. Time will tell. This is a long way. I think it took. I had that big truck loaded down with supplies just for making these conveyor belts, and I think it took either 5 or 6 truckloads of material. And I think it was 5 truckloads of material from going from out here where this is at all the way back to the base. Make 5 trips. Just loaded as everything I could carry on me, plus everything that big 6-wheel truck would hold. Okay, but this is where it splits. Let's go over to the right here. Go down and look at the setup down here. Okay. There are 2 feeding into one here. Those 2 feed into a single lead, and then that one feeds into a single lead, which joins the other one up here. I may have gotten myself in trouble going this way, but okay. Yeah, those 2 feed into a single loop, and let's see if it can crawl across it. It doesn't. Okay, good. And up here we have these 3. 2 feeding into one, and then the one over here feeding into that other single unit from over there, which gives us our 3 going back with crystal. I think about the worst part of this was after I had navigated my way out here. It's not going to let me crawl over it now. Let's see if a little speed helps. Yeah, it does. Okay. About the worst part of all of this was bringing the power wire out. I ran the power wire out and then started after that. I could follow the power wire back with the conveyor belts. I think the worst part of all of this was just dealing with the monsters and stuff, and setting up the distances between each of these lifts going up, because you want them as far apart as you can absolutely get them to save on the resources and materials used. But the part of there's no formulated distance here. There's no way to just put these down and know how far apart there are. There's no grid squares down or nothing. So you pretty much got, hit and miss. You got to put them in here and figure out how far apart you can stretch them. Most of the time you're okay, and then occasionally you go get a little greedy and go just a little too far out and have to tear it all down and rebuild it again. So, but anyway, this is how we get the crystal back to the base, to the main platform. if you guys decide to use this specific spot to bring your crystal back with, if you're not going to, I mean, if you're going to use a train or something like that, then this probably wouldn't apply. But if you're going to use conveyor belts to bring a constant, steady, permanent flow of that stuff back, I would suggest that you run around and pick up all those barrel nuts that you can get, that, you know, that return your health, because get a whole bunch of those, you know, quite a few of them together, because the monsters are going to come after you hot and heavy, running all through here. And they did. I mean, they were everywhere here. I spent an entire day, and about a day and a half really, just running around after I'd gotten the initial plot of where I was at, and staked it out with a bunch of beacons so I knew where I was going to go. And then just spent a day and a half killing everything, or getting killed while I killed everything. So, and any of you that have already done this, you already feel the pain. But it was well worth it, though. I originally thought I was going to do a train out here, but the trains at the time that I started playing this game, the trains were very unstable. I know that they've released a patch since then that has done a lot to add stability to them. But at the time when I needed to get this done, they weren't really that stable, and it would have been a constant source of headache. But I figured, you know, instead of having a train just deliver stuff, I'd rather have a continuous flow, non-stop flow of resources and material. So, easy. So that's why I decided to do it this way, and just run the conveyor belts back. It took a lot longer. It took a lot more resources. Would I do it again this way? Absolutely. In a heartbeat. I absolutely would. It's well worth it, because now you don't have to wait for a train delivery to get the resources I need to finish a product. Now the resources are always there for me. They're always right there. I have a constant, steady stream of them versus waiting on a scheduled delivery. I built this platform here to go over all of that toxic gas stuff down there. I don't want to have to deal with all that, so I just built this to come across over the top of it. I figured, hey, you know, problem, you know, worked around it, just dealt with it. Okay, let's go back up. This top platform up here, the one that the sky elevator's on, I haven't finished it yet. I originally thought that I was going to have all my part manufacturing on this platform that I'm on now, and have parts assembly, the final assembly done up on that top platform, up there where the elevator's at. But it just wound up working out this way. So, you know, in reality, I could take that the elevator, the sky elevator, and put it back over here somewhere, and just get rid of that whole top section, because I'm not even using any of it. And I may do that yet. You may see that in a future update. So that's pretty much where we're at right now. We're kind of waiting on new updates and new stuff to come into the game. I know that from watching Coffee Stain's YouTube channel, keeping up with them on Twitch and stuff, that they've got some interesting stuff planned for the future. Some really awesome stuff. Well, I think I'll go ahead and stop the video for here. It's been a nice little catch up, showing you what's been going on and everything. And we'll get picked up on it again here in the near future. One thing I do want to tell you is that it looks like Coffee Stain has definitely decided that their next major thing that they're going to work on is dedicated servers. One of the groups that I hang out with, the group is called Seneca Raiders. They will be purchasing a dedicated server, or renting, however that works, a dedicated server for Satisfactory. And then the group of people will begin working on multiple projects in this game at the same time. We will start a separate series on YouTube and Twitch and Mixer for that. And when we actually get the dedicated server set up and tested and running, then we're going to start a whole new series. I'm going to start whole new builds, and it'll be different people working on different projects and stuff, and keeping track of their progress as they go. So, and, turn this game from a single player into a multiplayer. It's going to be very interesting to see how it shows. But for now, I'd like to say thank you for watching. Appreciate your support. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please hit that like button. Smash that thing real hard for us. Subscribe and follow. Your support really helps this channel grow. If there's something you want to see in the future episodes, please drop a comment below. Until next time, love, peace, and drone grease.